There you are. Welcome. It's a weekend deal, and we've just been regaled with the happenings at the governorship elections in Osun State. A winner has emerged in the person of Senator Ademola Adeleke with 403,371 votes, overwhelmingly, men say, Osunites, the citizens of Osun State, let the world know what they have decided. And like Fisayo said, they did it with their thumbs. They armed themselves with their PVCs. They went to the polling units and they elected their candidate in the person of Senator Ademola Adeleke. Beavers, yes, worked very well, and it is our hope that this is what represented in different parts of the country as Nigerians continue to speak up and out and forward about what they want, whom they choose, and what they decide. Welcome to Weekend Deal, and we now go over or continue our conversation that we began yesterday talking about alternative power supply. We'll take off with our background report, and Francis, as usual, has been out there and it brings for us what he unraveled.
Presently, 76 million Nigerians of the Nigerian population are not connected to the national power grid. For those connected, power supply is a serious problem, as approximately 90% of the total power demanded is not supplied. Is Nigeria maximizing the potentials in renewable energy?
We are not maximizing enough, not that we are not taking advantage of it. Every area now, you see either solar street light or solar this, solar that. One thing that is yet to be fully realized in that area of renewable is that most of the technologies are still imported. In fact, virtually 99.9% of it is still imported, just like the old technology. We have not domesticated most of those things. So you are still going to buy almost everything to bring down here to use?
No, not yet. We are so blessed. From Kara Namoda to Bonny Island, we have renewable resources in abundance. We have the sun. We have the wind. We still require investment and the sector to be properly regulated.
As part of the economic sustainability plan of this administration, the government is working towards providing solar energy to 5 million households by 2030.
At Kerishi over there, here in Abuja, you have the Naseni solar, I call it a factory. They have some little things they are doing right now, trying to build and re-engineered those technologies and come up. But some few persons here and there are also trying to do it privately. But when there is more incentives, maybe tax relief and so on for some of these people, they'll blow it out and they'll begin to manufacture these things themselves. And when we can manufacture enough, you cannot use, but that's just one aspect of solar, which is solar PV. You have other solar systems and maybe other kind of renewables. The hydros, we have much more rivers we can dam. Right? Even here in Abuja, we have a lot of much more streams that you can dam. They are all renewables and so on and so forth, many different types. So all that, we can maximize them.
Since the rural areas are far from the electricity grid, and most currently do not have power, there is need for each area to become a little hub where they will produce their own power by whatever resource that was closest to them.
I come from a state where sunshine is so hot that we always complain. But the sunshine is a resource. Why can't we have a solar power generating station in my place and use it to have a 24-hour power supply in my place? Why? We even have uranium in this country. Why can't we have a nuclear power plant? Countries like Iran, with about 1/4 of our population or thereabout, their generating capacity is over 400,000 megawatts. That's why they have street lights from city to city that they put on in the night, just because there is power.
Every part of Nigeria, up to even the Niger Delta, can generate power through solar. Yes, and wind, because the sea of the Niger Delta, you can plant solar turbines in there, and you're going to generate large number of power because a lot of wind is in that environment, just like it is the Sahara wind is blowing in the north that can generate power, use solar or using wind steam, wind power plant and so on. All that is possible. Now, why are they not using it, or why are they not maximizing it in the north and the governors have not seen themselves? We are people that are yet to be serious.
In order to enhance energy security and sustainability, the use of renewable energy sources have to be fully developed in partnership with the private sector.
Covenant is running, maybe their installed capacity about 10 megawatts. They'll be able to manage their system very well. You have other private entities that run their private power plant like that successfully. Okay? But the Covenant University must have obtained a license to generate and use its power within its confine. But if he needs to sell upload to the national grid, he has to obtain another license to do that.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on renewable energy as panacea for sustainable development. Weekend Deal.
Interesting development there. We continue to learn, to move forward. Yes, it is possible for each state to generate power. Talking about alternative power supply sources. It is possible with the commitment and the will. And that's how the Ibom Power Project began. And we'll go to Akwa Ibom now to see how far so far. Tell us more, please.
In most societies, regular power supply is seen as a lifestyle, given its contributions to those societies. Consequently, the federal government has not relented in providing adequate power supply to all areas of the country. In Akwa Ibom State, the story is not different, as the state-owned power plant, currently producing at 191 megawatts, though with installed capacity of 685 megawatts, has remained a driving force in the massive economic development of the state.
The major cardinal point when we did our 5-point agenda that anchored on industrialization is also the drive that we are doing on electricity generation and also distribution.
The problem we are having is that we lack transmission lines that are going to take the power. In fairness to you, we are producing 153, but we are only able to transmit 97 as of today.
With the power plants working at optimal capacity, what has the management of the plant put in place to ensure that residents of the state enjoy adequate power supply?
From 2015 till now, we have given out over 490 distribution transformers, maintained the transmission line, build transmission line, commission transmission line, while distribution companies build injection substations all over. So this has really helped to put power in various hands and in various administrative convenience.
Given the huge investments in this sector by the state government, there is no doubt that the harsh economic reality has affected all facets of the economy. What are the experiences of electricity consumers in the state?
I cannot stay in 2-bedroom flat and I will be paying a sum of 10,000 naira at the end of the month. It's uncalled for.
Regular power supply is a great boost to every economy. It creates jobs, generates wealth, and provides all-round economic benefit.
It is integral to do what we can to provide alternative power supply when necessary. Our program Weekend Deal is interactive. Share with us your experiences. We want to know where you are, how you are, and what alternative power sources are available where you are. Now let's talk about industries. To grow our industries, oftentimes it is imperative to get alternative power sources, and that's what educational television in Lagos is taking a look at. Those shows now.
In spite of government's efforts through various policies and the abundant human resources, the desired result is yet to be achieved. This has led many citizens to shift focus to other sources to meet their power needs.
Apart from petrol, which is well known as an alternate petrol or diesel for generators as an alternative source of electricity, we have renewable energy as well. And it doesn't streamline to solar alone. Renewable energy, we also have biogas. Biogas can be used where the generator will be utilized, and the gas is used to convert the gas from feces of the toilet, dustbin items. They are being converted, and it becomes a gas used to power the generator.
In Ogun State, for instance, solar is being embraced gradually by the people as an alternative power source. Many homes as well as business concerns now use solar energy in various forms. Though costly at the moment, residents who use solar energy recount their experiences.
Since year 2017, I've been using the solar power system, and I can say the solar power system is life. What I mean by is life is, it's something you can actually use and have a peace of mind. Not expecting maybe the normal power is going to go off. It depends on what you want to use. It depends on how many panels you want to use. But I can say, like the old shops here, I've been using the solar to power everything.
Is a green energy. You don't like incur more damage to the environment, and it's far better because you don't need to, like, if you have your own system at home, you don't need to have like you're paying continuous fees and all those stuff, things like that.
I've been using this solar system now for the past 2 years, and it has not been giving me any problem at all. So I'm okay with it. I'm using it in my office, I'm using it in my house. So it's power my fridge, it's power my television.
If you calculate the money you are paying monthly, yearly for NEPA compared to what you are going to use to buy your solar and construct one, I will advise you to go for solar. I'm not talking that because I'm a user, because there are some benefits you see from solar that you get from NEPA.
Meanwhile, expert blames the high cost of solar power on multiple charges from government agencies, among other things.
Like some of the batteries now, tubular battery that we sell at 140, 150,000 naira. The landing cost is not up to 70,000 naira. If the government can actually streamline on that, at least it will also help us build our own economy. And most of these materials are here in Nigeria. If you have factories to actually bring all those things up, we make solar panels here in Onitsha. But custom charges, multiple checkpoints make life more difficult for us in the market. So that's what actually makes it quite expensive. But solar is cheap.
As long as the sun rises, solar energy would continue to be a credible alternative source of power in Nigeria.
We just watched information and a report from NTA Programme talking about solar power. Many people use solar power in Nigeria, but in Katsina, they also use the windmill, and that's where we're going now. NTA Katsina, please show us what's happening at your end.
As the world population grows at geometrical rate and that of basic amenities at arithmetical rate, there is need for proper measures to meet the growing population across the world. With a total landmass of 923,800 kilometers square and an estimated population of more than 200 million, Nigeria is also facing population challenges, of which is inadequate electricity supply. Successive administration in the country made several attempts to address the power challenges, but to no avail. The situation can be attributed to both human and natural factors. In view of these, therefore, some administrations in the country resorted to generating power through other sources. Among such alternate energy sources is the wind power plant at Lambarimi, 25 kilometers away from Katsina town along Katsina-Kano highway.
This power project in Rimi, when fully operational, will definitely change the narrative of business activities in Katsina State because we will all benefit. The way it is that once there is electricity like now, our business flourish. But when we have challenges of power, even feeding becomes a challenge.
Considering the viability of the project, the federal government later took over the project from Katsina State government, and the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration injected about 1 billion naira to ensure that the project is put into use. The Lamborghini wind power mill is designed to supply over 10 megawatts of electricity to the national grid, which will be distributed to consumers within Katsina town and its environs.
10 megawatts is big enough. We are all celebrating, but I don't know why it is taking this long.
Another alternative energy supply is solar power, as some of the private and government sectors in the state embarked upon to take advantage of the state latitudinal location of high solar angle of an average temperature of 29 degrees Celsius. For domestic purpose, however, charcoal and LPG energy source have replaced the use of highly consumed electric torch.
NTA Katsina, is great to see the progress being made. Commitment, presence of mind, dedication and tenacity will get everyone there eventually. In the meantime, alternative power sources of supply is on the front burner, and many people are performing their due diligence, different roles to ensure that they bring new ideas to the table and that they are practicalized in the shortest possible time. Yesterday, in our studio here, the Director General of NEMSA visited us. He's also the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation. We had a chat with him. I'm talking about Engineer Tahir Aliyu Chukwu. We spoke expansively. Please watch. We have the pleasure of having the conversation with Engineer Tahir Aliyu, the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation and the Managing Director of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
When we talk about NEMSA, sometimes people would like to fully comprehend what exactly a NEMSA is all about.
Yeah, NEMSA is Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency. It's one of the agencies of the federal government. It's established by the NEMSA Act 2015. Basically, it's established to carry out the functions of enforcement of technical standards, technical regulations, inspection, testing, and certification of all categories of electrical installations across the power value chains. That includes the electrical installations as the consumers at our homes, offices, and factories. And this is to ensure that there's efficient production of electricity, efficient delivery of safe, reliable, and sustainable electricity supply in the country, at the same time guarantee safety of life in the Nigerian electricity supply industry and allied industry.
Interesting. I can imagine, how it feels when you see some human beings climbing our poles or transformers, trying to disable or do some funny business with electrical cables and wiring system, all in a bid to do something illegal. And sometimes the result is fatal. But tell us about enforcement of standards. What do you find out there?
Thank you very much. Electricity has become part of our daily lives. It helps us to do a lot of things. We use electricity to power
most of our appliances, television sets, fridges, even cooking and so on and so forth. But the irony is that electricity is associated with hazards. And these hazards are real. They can affect even the professional person that is working there. So it is because of these hazards now that you have regulations, you have standards, and these are developed to guide the installations and usage of electricity. So enforcing these standards is paramount so that the usage and production, transmission and distribution and the usage of this electricity can be safely done because of the associated hazards. So NEMSA is basically set up to enforce these regulations, and we have a number of them. We have the distribution codes, we have the Nigerian electricity supply regulations, and other regulations developed by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. And basically what do you do when you carry out enforcement of these regulations? You carry out inspections, testing and certifications to ensure that these electrical installations are properly planned, are properly designed, are properly executed before they are now allowed to be put to use.
Are they being properly done? We know there have been cases, maybe they're not even often reported, but there was this case in Lagos where some entertainers went to perform for a director, and while they were there, one of the dancers was charging her phone, and in a bid to handle the phone, she got electrocuted. There are cases where it can happen. We can have power fluctuations. Is this within your purview? And if it is, what are you doing about it?
We carry out investigation of electrical accidents. Basically, it's not to witch hunt, it's to find out the causes of these electrical accidents and then proper solutions in order to forestall future occurrences. We've carried out a number of investigations across the country, and this has helped us to put up, enforcement directives. And these enforcement directives give specific directives to the operators, to utility companies that don't do this, do that in terms of constructions, maintenance of your network. And we have inspectors all over the country. We have field inspectorate offices. And these field inspectorate offices carry out monitoring of the existing networks, identify defective networks, raise this to the utility companies for necessary corrections. And this is being carried out daily. And for the new networks that are coming in, are also inspected, tested and certified before they are allowed to be connected or utilized in the country. We also carry out, safety ranking of the utility companies. We inspect their safety performances. We look at how they carry out their operations, and on monthly basis we rank them on safety. And we also, issue a lot of directives to ensure that there's adequate safety of lives and property.
Are you facing any challenges in ensuring that they abide by the rules and regulations? What do you find out there?
One of the major challenges really is the necessary investment to carry out the replacement of these aging networks that you see all over the country. And these networks needs maintenance, need preventive maintenance. And to do that, you need to invest a lot of money to do it, because to replace a component, to replace an equipment like the transformers, the conductors, the insulators, you require a lot of money to do that. And you agree with me that the level of investment in this country on the networks we are not yet there yet. We're struggling. You can see the distribution companies having challenges with their banks, because banks have been pursuing them to see how they can recover the debt. So this has really affected the necessary, corrections of these defects that we highlight on daily basis.
We have cases where people deliberately do the wrong thing. Whether it's the architect of the house or the builder is in a hurry or the electrical installer is in a hurry, sometimes things are not done as they should. What is the process of checkmating these people? Yes, you are going out there to find out what is on ground. When you have people who have repeatedly gone against what is right and what is proper and is impacting lives, what happens? Are there consequences that can really serve as a deterrent?
Then let me start by saying that the electrical installers themselves are certified by NEMSA. So if you are not certified by NEMSA, you are not allowed by law to carry out any electrical installation works in the country. And that's the first thing. So if you have an installation that you want to be carried out, the first thing to do is to engage a certified electrical installer by NEMSA to carry out that, because through that, that person can be traced, that person can be penalized for doing a wrong thing.
How does the Nigerian, the Nigerian out there, how do they go about engaging a certified electrician or a technician?
So if you want to engage any electrical installation personnel, you have the first thing you ask him is about his certification. Is he certified by NEMSA? Yes. Do you have an evidence? Yes. And then you can now go on to NEMSA's website to verify, because we have the certified electrical installation personnel directory on NEMSA's website that you can easily verify.
Every one of them?
Yes.
Interesting. So this is for those, the landlords and would-be landlords, when you're building or when you want, or for the tenants, if you want to do some repairs in your home, make sure you go for the certified installer. Interesting. Okay, then what happens when they err? Do they err?
Yes, it's possible, because when you certify a person, that means you have all his details and you can trace him. And don't forget that these installations, when they are carried out, we carry out inspections to certify them before they are allowed to be used. You can also not rule out illegal connections here and there, but when these are found, penalties will follow, because those installations will be disconnected and that area will be without power supply until all the statutory inspection, testing and certification is carried out before those installations are brought back to use.
For some reason, being a Nigerian who has lived here all my life, and I have many like me, we don't know what you're telling us. We're hearing it for the first time. We just go to different locations. Sometimes we even see a sign, electrician with the phone number, and we just call them to come and do the adapter, do the socket and fix it and all that. So thankfully, we are still here and we've never had the negative occurrences. But it's great to know that there's a directory where you can check who you are dealing with and verify that he or she is who he or she says that they are. There's a lot of illegal connections in our country. And because of disappointments many people have faced over time, sometimes we may not choose the appropriate body to get us our connections, because they sometimes delay, they sometimes do not show up, they need to be petted and, pleaded with sometime. So we go for the person who is readily available. But tell us, how can we move away from that and do things right? And what are the consequences for the unregistered person who carries out installations?
I started by saying that electricity is associated with hazards, and these hazards are real. So for the safety of occupants of a building, for example, for safety of the users of that installations, they need to ensure that the person that is carrying out this installation is actually competent and skilled. And the way you know that that person is competent and skilled is through the certification. If he can produce an evidence that he is certified, because the certification is a process. It involves, examining this personnel, interviewing him, even having practicals to make sure that he's actually competent and skilled to carry out out the job. And I want to tell my
But how
fellow
ready available are these skilled and certified people? How available?
They are available across the country, and this certification process is going on as we speak, because all our field offices do carry out this certification.
But are you training more people?
And then the certified personnel are also monitored through our inspections exercises. Are also renewed. These certificates are renewed from time to time, and these renewals of these certificates have requirements, and some of the requirement is updates in their knowledge. So you need to show some of the trainings that you've undergone. And currently, we are already in collaboration with the National Institute, the National Power Institute, which is NAPTIN, which is the institute that is responsible for training engineers in the power sector, to see that we organize training for these certified electrical personnel across the country. Technologies changes.
And to even train more, because you can't just find them just anywhere. We need more. We need them to be available. We need to know more. A lot of information needs to be put out there for the Nigerian to know that such a thing exists, and this is how to find them.
I want fellow Nigerians to know that because of the risks involved, the hazards involved with electricity, they should not play with it. They should ensure that electrical installations are carried out by certified personnel. And what you do is, to anyone that is coming or anyone that you want to engage, first question you ask him is, where is your certification? Are you certified? If yes, you must produce an evidence. If you are still in doubt, you can go onto NEMSA's website to verify the certifications. And this number is increasing. The number of certified electrical installation personnel is increasing. We are not yet there where we want, but it's
better than where we are coming from. Everyone is talking about alternative sources of supply. Do you find that having you interested? Will NEMSA have a role to play? And being the chief electrical inspector in Nigeria, how do you think you and NEMSA can impact?
As rightly said, yes, this the alternative power supply is very, very important, because we want to guard against these emissions. Climate changes are real. They've affected so many places across the globe. So the renewable energy is key to solving our power problems in this country. We are blessed with a number of energy resources. The sun is abundantly there. We have some wind potentials here and there, and this can be tapped and can be used to generate electricity in the country. And for us at NEMSA, any electrical installations across the country must be inspected, tested, and certified before they are allowed to be used. On renewable energy, especially on mini grids, we've gone far. We have inspection guidelines, manuals for these mini grid installations. And with that guidelines manuals, all the installers, all the developers are now guided properly on how to go about the inspections of their installations. And it also contains how you generate the data, because we need this data. Once you develop a project on the renewable energy, you need to capture the data for the country to know that yes, on alternative power supply, we have this capacity already on ground, and this is located here, this is located. So all these things are captured in the guideline manuals, and this has been in use. We've been carried out inspections of these alternative power supplies.
What are we making in Nigeria with the wealth of experience we have, talent and skill? What are the electricians and technical officers making that is uniquely Nigerians and that we are able to use, that will work well for us rather than importing? Many of our electrical appliances are imported. We hardly make anything here, or am I behind time?
Thank you very much. We are making a lot of progress in this country. I just want to give an example of our cables manufacturers in this country. Because of the quality we have in this country, I've seen a situation whereby cables are imported, but they are made in Nigeria because they want to be patronized in Nigeria. So you can see the kind of quality cables we have in this country. I want to commend the Standard Organization of Nigeria for making sure that at least the cables manufacturers in this country are doing the right thing, are highly qualitative. They can be compared to any other quality across the globe. That's one. We also have manufacturers of electrical equipment like the transformers, so on and
They are made here.
they are here. But you know,
or we assemble them.
The capacity, we also have assemblers. So the capacity that we need in this country is not adequate for us. So that's the importation, so we must import. And these electrical materials and equipments, when they are imported or manufactured in this country, are inspected, tested, and certified before they are allowed to be used in this country. You agree with me that there are still some substandard materials, electrical materials and equipment in the country, and this we are working in collaboration with Standard Organization of Nigeria to get rid of these substandard electrical materials across the country. We already have standing committees that are working. We have an MOU that is signed. When we go to the field, identify these materials, remove them, escalate them to Standard Organization of Nigeria, who now goes to the markets and ensure that they are removed from the markets.
It has been interesting talking with you. Before we wrap up, some say that 30 years ago, Nigeria was yielding 4,000 megawatts. And we were doing that alongside other African countries on the continent. Many of them have surpassed that. We used to aid Ghana like 15 years ago. We were assisting Ghana. And even though we have not called for assistance, we say we can do it on our own, we are still where we are. And we've been there for decades. As you wrap up, what limits us and what is the way forward?
There was a period in this country where there was no adequate investment in the power sector. The power sector is a sector that requires, workings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And once you have this issue of non-adequately funding the sector to get the right infrastructure in place, then there will be a gap. And this gap has been there for a long time in this country. And the power sector is a value chain. You have the generations, you have the transmission, you have the distribution and utilization. And this value chain must be intact before you now get supply in your premises. So if that link is not solid, it's not there, there's no way you can get supply in your premises. So if you have good generations and you don't have enough transmission, it's not there. If you have enough transmission and you don't have enough distribution, you cannot get the power you want.
Final words. Are you optimistic that Nigeria will get electricity power supply right to the extent that at least 85% of Nigerians can rely on it someday?
I'm optimistic that we'll get there someday, because the necessary things that are supposed to be in place are being put in place by the current government. And it takes time, because when you to provide infrastructure, it's not something that you can get within 1 day or 1 week or 1 month. So it's something that you plan, something that you invest in, something that you install, construct, and it takes time before you. For example, if you want to construct a hydropower plant, for example, it takes you 5 years or 6 years to get that plant, depending on the capacity. So you can see the duration.
So we just need to wait patiently. In the meantime, we explore alternative sources of power and see where we get with that. We want to thank you immensely. Engineer Taher Tukuraleo, the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation and the Managing Director of the Nigerian Electricity Management Service Agency, NEMSA.
Thank you very much.
Very enlightening chat, and Weekend Deal continues. Don't go away. You're watching Weekend Deal, a very enlightening chat there with the Director General, NEMSA, and the Chief Electrical Inspector of the Federation, Engineer Aliyu Tukur. We'll go to Sokoto now. Let's talk about the windmill. How is it performing? Is it reliable? Are many citizens using it? NTA Sokoto is where we touch down now.
Wind, as a free gift in nature, has the potential to generate electricity when properly harnessed through turbines and windmills. The use of wind to generate electricity is best in windy regions like the northern part of Nigeria.
The northern part of Nigeria, particularly if you consider areas around Sokoto and the Jos, they stand a better chance of having more wind speed potential.
There are critical factors at play if the nation desires migration or increased electricity through wind energy.
You have two main parameters to play with when you are trying to harness wind energy. One is the area or the rotor area of your wind turbine, which if you double, actually you are doubling the power. That one you have control, to some limit you have control over. The other one is the wind speed itself. Wind nature is really very, very erratic. You can have wind now and in the next second you have no wind. That is why whenever it comes to the installation, then what you do is to incorporate storage.
Nigeria, over time, has in some pilot centers test-run operation of wind energy generation. In northwest Nigeria, Sokoto State, Seya Gidengada and Danjawa village both has wind turbines as pilot projects.
The first pilot project was that of Seya Gidengada. 2 wind turbines with a rated wind capacity of 2.5 kilowatts each were actually installed. Well, quite okay, the turbines were imported. And here at the center, we did the installations. The integrated power was 5 kilowatts. That was in 1996, and we really distributed the power generated to that particular Seye Gidangada village.
Only time will tell if wind energy as an alternative source of energy for electricity generation is sufficient to bridge the huge gap of power challenge presently facing the nation.
Sokoto citizens remain relentless and focused on ensuring that there's alternative power supply. And it shows industry too, even if it's a small scale. We go to Mina and let's get to know more about Shiroro Dam. Of course, many Nigerians have heard about it. But where are we now with Shiroro? NTA Mina, please tell us more.
The power situation in Niger State for the past 6 months or so has not been constant, so much that the power can come and go 5 times within a span of 20 minutes. Sometimes it can take 3 days before you experience the power, and when it comes, it cannot power an energy-saving bulb nor other gadgets.
Talking about AEDC lights, sincerely the service in Niger State is totally bad and very, very poor. There's nothing absolutely to write me about. And we're actually using diesel, and the cost of it is just so exorbitant for us to even afford these days. So the best we can do, we are shortly between solar grid and generator. That's what we're using now, because they always give us light like 2-3 hours, sometimes even 30 minutes. Doesn't last in a day. So the cost of running our factory here is at the very high side for us.
the poor power supply has made it difficult to run businesses in Niger State.
We run fashion business here. Light is not constant at all.
Sometimes if they bring the light, it will not be more than 3 or 2 hours, so they will take the light. So right now we are using gen.
We don't have light. See the other one, generator for fuel. See the one for gas. The gas is too much, 800 per liter. We don't have money to buy. That is why we come back to fuel. We don't have light. See work. We are using generator to do work here.
The situation is so alarming that vandals can disconnect a transformer from the pole, bring the transformer down, and remove all the vital parts without fear of being electrocuted.
We just come in the morning, we made the transformer was rosy, everything was rosy, at which there's light, there cannot be removed the transformer. There's no light from in here.
In his explanation, the manager of operations said the problem is due to shortfall in energy generation.
Mina and its environs as a city, before the crisis now, we used to be allocated 70, 75, 80 megawatts per day. But currently, we are dancing between 10 to 15 megawatts. So invariably, when you look at it, if we have problem at the tail end of gas station, definitely this is the situation we are facing. Presently, we are facing that problem. And in as much as they are having problem, Shiroro, Kayenji, Jeba will not be able to fill that gap. The energy we are receiving will not be able to go around for now.
It is a known fact that when small-scale businesses thrive in a country, it acts as a catalyst for economic growth.
It is interesting to see how far they have come, but it can be heart-wrenching to see how much is being expended using alternative power supply, like our generator sets. You know, they have the one for gas, they have the one they use PMS. You know, we do hope that they will show up more progress with the Shiroro Dam and to be able to provide electricity for the people. We're going to the heartbeat of the nation. Well, that's my state. I grew up there, I lived there, and we do know that more often than not, there is no power. In some homes, we have as many as 3 generator sets.
Despite huge investments in the power sector, the availability of power in Nigeria has worsened. Individuals and industries rely heavily on self-generated power.
If we have a good power supply from BEDs, I don't think we need that. It's because it's poor. That's why we think of solar and other alternatives.
In Benin City, Edo State, individuals and industries have embraced alternative power supply, such as solar power and the public-private partnership of the Oshomo Power Station.
In our daily activities, we have to rely on power, and the normal grid from NEPA or PCN per se is not really available. So people are actually accepting, and delving into this alternate source by means of installing solar and inverters in their houses. Yeah, the response has been very, very okay.
I have 2 alternative sources of power outside BEDC. I run solar system, which lasts me for like between 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. before it goes off, because you charge with a sun, and then that too is very expensive.
Like the Oshomo, I know they said it's 24 hours, but it's not really 24 hours. The only good thing about them is when they want to take the lights, they will put you into the notice. Then so hours, they will be offline for maintenance. They will let you know that the light is going off.
One thing that is clear is the need for an improvement in the generation and distribution of power in the country. so as to ease life and business productivity in Edo and the country at large.
The heartbeat of the nation, Edo State, that comprises hardworking, focused, and very resourceful people. We go to Lagos. How is power over there? It's from Channel 10 that we get authentic information. Please share.
It might interest you to know most areas in Lagos State experience power outage for an average of 20 hours daily or none, yet they receive an exorbitant bill at the end of the month.
We are not getting what we are paying because normally they don't even give us light 2 times in a month. No, it's our list we are using in the plaza.
We didn't normally have light and they're bringing crazy bill for us. And if we did not pay the money, then we cut our light.
Some industries in Nigeria have relocated to neighboring countries due to this challenge, while others have closed down, leaving numerous Nigerian youths jobless. The epileptic power supply has impacted negatively in the socio-economic development of the country. Individuals and companies are spending a lot on alternative power supply in order to live up to expectations.
There's always like a need to set like a separate budget for fuel and for electricity, which I feel is one of the things that reduces your productivity and also the profits from your business, right? Because a huge part of the expenses that you have to plan for, budget for, is usually involving electricity.
Each time we have power failure and we on our generator, 1 hour in operating our generator will cost 50 liters of diesel. And if you multiply 50 liters of diesel by 800 naira for 1 hour, we are losing 40,000 naira. You multiply it by 5. For 1 week, you will know what it's going to cost us.
Apart from manufacturers, other organizations use alternative power supply to meet their customers' needs.
If you should compare the both office and house, home, office and where we live, I think nothing less than 200,000 every month. The government should please look into the area of power supply.
All efforts made by the crew to speak with the Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria on how they are coping with irregular supply of power proved abortive. Curbing the epileptic power supply in the country, an energy expert said there should be increase in investment of power industry, both the government and the private. Appropriate legislation whereby generation and transmission of electricity should be removed from the exclusive list and brought to concurrent list, plus appropriate sanctions on energy theft.
Thank you, Channel 10. It's interesting to see what's happening in Lagos, and it's our hope that things will get better so that more citizens can have electricity as and at when due. We'll take a break now. We'll be back in a moment. In sports, as in football, anything can happen. The same thing with elections. Anything can happen. Osun decided today in favor of Senator Ademola Adeleke overwhelmingly with 403,371 votes, and he has been declared winner of the gubernatorial elections, the newly elected governor. But all this would not have been possible if Nigerians in Osun did not go to the polling units to cast their vote. Beavers worked because they had their PVCs in the first place. Nigerians, go get your PVC. Your vote counts. We, the electorate, are the deciding factor for who will rule us at different levels, at the local government level, at the state level, and eventually at the federal level. God indeed bless Nigeria. From all of us here, it's bye-bye. Have a fantastic week and get your PVC. Bye-bye.